Good evening. Tonight on Gravitas, we bring you the story of 17-year-old Priya Rani. She lives in Buner, near Peshawar in Pakistan. A few days back, she went to school, never to return home. Priya Rani had been abducted, forcefully converted to Islam and married to a neighbor. The boy is under arrest now in police custody, but the girl hasn't returned home. Her family lives in fear. As scary as this scenario is, it's not an exception in Pakistan. In the Sindh province alone, 67 Hindu girls have been kidnapped in the last 3 years. At least 1,000 girls are forcibly converted to Islam in Pakistan every year. Tonight, we bring you a WION special investigation into what it's like to be Hindu in Pakistan, the story of Priya Rani. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. The headlines first. China comes to the aid of its all-weather friend as Pakistan stumbles from one financial crisis to the next. Beijing's $1.2 billion gift to help stave off possible currency crisis in Pakistan. French presidential race leader Emmanuel Macron heckled at a meeting by far-right supporters. It was done at the behest of his rival Marine Le Pen, his supporters allege, as the campaign moves into a decisive phase. More than 1,000 people arrested by the Erdogan administration in a crackdown on secret imams in Turkey. Activists protest, claiming that the action was meant to target only pro-Gulen supporters. It's a rare and massive snub for the all-powerful BCCI at the ongoing ICC board meet in Dubai. Cricket's full member countries outvote the BCCI in its bid to scupper the proposed financial and governance reforms to the game. Also on the show tonight, why thousands of psychiatrists and psychologists have declared Donald Trump mentally ill. And why America and North Korea, will they in fact go to war? Also, will your next taxi come flying? We ask experts if flying cars are viable. But first to a story that WION has been tracking consistently. 3 weeks after a hurriedly put together Pakistan military court passed a summary judgment, suspect both in law and practice, sentencing one-time Indian naval officer and then private businessman Kulbhushan Jadhav to death, it denied India consular access to its own citizen yet again. Earlier today, the Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan, Bambawale, met with Pakistan's Foreign Secretary Tehmeena Janjua to one, demand access to Kulbhushan Jadhav, and second, appeal for the matter to be tried in a civil court. However, Pakistan said that the application of international convention in the case of spies was not uniform and could only be done on the merit of a particular case. Since his abduction last year, Pakistan has insisted that Jadhav was a spy working for Indian agencies to cause disruption in the province of Balochistan. Only yesterday, India's Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, on a visit to the US, reiterated that India will not recognize the verdict of a quote-unquote kangaroo court in the case of Jadhav. For our viewers, this is what rules say. According to the Article 36 of the Vienna Convention, consular officer access shall be granted. The consular officer shall be free to communicate with their nationals and have free and unfettered right to visit them in prison. There is no wiggle room here. There is no ambiguity in the language. Experts say that Pakistan is in clear violation of international conventions by denying access to Kulbhushan Jadhav. Joining us with more on this, our Pakistan Bureau Chief Taha Siddiqui, live with us from Islamabad. Good evening, Taha. What happened today?
Well, from what we know, the Indian High Commissioner, he visited the Foreign Secretary. This is the second time in 2 weeks that he has been visiting. He's visiting the office of Foreign Secretary Tamina Janjua. After the meeting, he spoke briefly to the press, and from our sources inside, they tell us that basically the purpose of the meeting was to take a message from Kulbhushan Jadhav's family. His mother apparently has given a message for him to send that message, first of all. Secondly, once again to demand the consular access, as you also mentioned, and thirdly to file a review, as far as we know that the defense minister had said that Kulbhushan Jadhav had 40 days for his death sentencing to be reviewed. So these were the four things that came under discussion. Once the Indian High Commissioner left, the Foreign Office sources, they told us that basically Pakistan rejected all these demands and all these requests because of the fact that Kulbhushan is a spy, and with regard to spies, there's no such agreement between India and Pakistan as to how to proceed, and each case is looked upon. And in this particular case, because Kulbhushan is accused of serious crimes because of that, and convicted of serious crimes in Pakistan because of that, his sort of the consular access request and other appeal will be reviewed differently.
So is there reason to believe that this round of the case, this appeal, is going to be fundamentally different from what we've seen in the past, given that Pakistan continues to stick to its adamant position?
Well, from what I know, from some of the sources that I spoke to, they say that this is an appeal towards the military tribunal. Now, there's some sort of a bit of confusion whether or not it is for the military tribunal, or whether it is to switch the case to civil courts, which we've earlier seen that the Pakistanis have already rejected. But if it's a review for the military tribunal, then we might hear of a review and the appeal going into the review, which Kulbhushan Jadhav had according to the process of the Military Act and according to the Defense Minister of Pakistan. So in that sense, there could be some development if this review appeal is sent to the military tribunal.
Right. And as far as the government of India is concerned, has it exhausted all the options?
Well, from what we know right now, there is this sort of pressure that the Indian High Commissioner has been building, but has been unsuccessful in getting through, because he's talking to the civilians, whereas the military is in control of the whole process and the whole affair. So in that sense, we do not know how much military would give in to the demands of the Indian High Commissioner or to the Indian government. And as far as options exhausted are concerned, there is definitely, earlier on, as we've already discussed this here in this show only, about the swap stories about the spy swapping. So maybe that could be an option. Otherwise, from a legal perspective, he has this review option. Then it can go into a mercy appeal with the Chief of Army Staff, and then finally a mercy petition in front of the President. So there are a considerable number of steps before all options are exhausted.
All right, Taha, stay with us as we look at another report coming out of Pakistan. Last Thursday, Priya Rani, a 17-year-old Sikh girl, was abducted by a Muslim neighbor who claimed to have married her and converted her to Islam. Priya's family has gone to the local police to file a case of kidnapping and forceful conversion, following which the police arrested the alleged husband and sent Priya to a women's shelter home. Taha Siddiqui travelled to a remote village of Bunair in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province to bring you this special investigation.
Mahinder Lal has not slept for days. At first, he refused to speak on camera given the threats he faces in demanding the return of his niece Priya Rani. After she went missing, even the police refused to file a case of abduction and forced conversion.
हमें ये बताया गया कि आपकी भतीजी इस तरह मुसलमान हो गई और इस्लाम कबूल कर लिया और निकाह भी पढ़ लिया। तो हमने कहा हमें पता भी नहीं, यकीन भी नहीं आता। अभी भी मैं आपको कहता हूँ हमें यकीन नहीं आता, क्योंकि एक गुलाब का फूल पहले तो हम मान ही नहीं रहे थे कि हमारी भतीजी इस तरह कर सकती है। तो हर कोई कह रहा है भाई ये तो मुसलमान हो गई है, अभी इसमें कुछ हो नहीं सकता, आप रिपोर्ट दर्ज ना करवाएं। पीछे से हमें प्रेशर आने शुरू हो गए। तो फिर बड़े प्रेशर के बाद, बहुत मुश्किल हालात के बाद SHO ने रिपोर्ट दर्ज करवाई।
As he breaks down, he knows how the Pakistani system is unfair to minorities. No one is even letting the family meet the girl. He sees no future for minorities in Pakistan.
बात करना तो बहुत दूर की बात, और ज़बरदस्ती यही है। किसी इलाके के खान नवाब के पास जाते हैं, भाई हमारी भतीजी, कहते हैं भाई वो उसका आपसे कनेक्शन ख़त्म हो गया। पुलिस स्टेशन जाते हैं, आपका कनेक्शन ख़त्म हो गया। अदालत जाते हैं, अभी उसको दारुल अमान में लेके गए, कोई मिलने नहीं देता। कम से कम इतना हक हमें नहीं बनता। हम इंसान हैं लेकिन उससे भी बदतर हैं। हमें इंसाफ इसलिए नहीं मिल रहा है कि हम मिनॉरिटी में हैं बस।
Following the registration of a case, hundreds of Muslims threatened jihad against the local Sikh community if the girl was returned. Shops in this local village in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, owned by Sikhs, have remained closed since last Friday. The situation remains tense. The government has formed a joint investigation team to probe the matter. The alleged husband of Priya has been taken into custody, while Priya has been sent to a women's shelter. Behind me is the police station where the girl's case has been registered of forceful conversion to Islam and her abduction. Wajid Ali, who's been nominated in the case, is in police custody right now. The police refuse to talk to us on camera, but off camera, they say that the girl's family's accusations are false and they're already siding with the accused, which reflects that finding justice here will be difficult. In the nearby city of Peshawar, a fact-finding mission was sent by this Sikh's temple's management. Babaji Gurpal Singh was leading the team. He explains how it is common for women from religious minorities to be abducted in this way in Pakistan.
और आपको पता है कि ये जो है यहाँ पे अगर कोई कहते हैं कि ये लड़की मुसलमान हो गई तो हज़ारों के लोग घरों से निकलते, वो मसला इतना बड़ा हो जाता है कि हम जो है वो बच्ची को दोबारा किसी भी ज़रिए में नहीं लेकर आ सकते। तो इसी वजह से ज़्यादा लोगों ने एजुकेशन ही छोड़ दिया है, जो ज़्यादातर लोग जो है माइग्रेट हो गए। वो इसी वजह से कि मतलब हमारी यहाँ पे जो है सिंध में और मुख्तलिफ़ जगहों में जो है गुरु ग्रंथ साहब की तौहीन हो चुकी।
The police have promised to complete the investigation in 15 days. Religious minorities comprise of less than 2% of Pakistan's 200 million population, but they're fast disappearing, fleeing because of the threats they face in Pakistan. This is Taha Siddiqui with cameraman Rao Bilal reporting for WION from Peshawar.
Taha is still with us. We'll also be joined by Peter Jacob, Executive Director at the Center for Social Justice of Pakistan. He will be with us from Lahore in a short while from now. Taha, you went to this village. Can you describe to us the scenes that you saw there and the kind of mood that prevailed in that village?
Well, there are around about 30 to 35 Sikh families that live in this particular village, and they've lived there for their entire lives, for even before partition, from what I know. And their whole neighborhood and the area where they reside, all the shops were closed. Most of them are sort of restricted themselves inside their homes, do not really go out. And this happened after what happened on Friday. So basically, if you see one neighborhood of this village is completely shut down, while the rest of the village is quite active and life goes on normal there where the Muslim population lives. And from what we know on Friday, after the Friday prayers, a large mob gathered, and this was when the case had been registered against the accused of kidnapping the girl, and the mob tried to intimidate the family, tried to intimidate the police, and the police had to intervene then and negotiate with them and sort of say that we will definitely investigate, and the case will, from what we know, there's been assurances given that the case will definitely go in the favor of the accused or the Muslim population because of all the pressure. And as I mentioned in the report already, the police was saying that the girl is has gone with her own permission without even investigating. They're already assuming that and they kept saying this involves religion, this involves Islam, so this is a different matter. We have to treat it differently. So in that sense, the mood there, as far as the Sikh neighborhoods are concerned, they're quite scared. They do not know what's going to happen. If the girl comes back, it's going to be even more trouble for them, it appears right now.
One question, are 17-year-olds allowed to be married in Pakistan? And if the man is in police custody, why isn't the girl being returned to her family?
Well, basically because the girl was presented in front of the court, where again, in presence of a lot of law enforcement and the judiciary, she was asked some questions, and then the judge sort of thought that she was scared, which she definitely is. But instead of deciding who she's scared from, he sent her to the Darul Aman, which is a protection center for women, to sort of give her time to think about things. And after this time period of 15 days, what now has been given for the investigation, after that, in 15 days, she will be asked about where she wants to go again. But at the same time, the person who has sort of married her off, he's presented documents, even though this girl does not have an ID card, which is the national identity card. He's still claiming that he has a court marriage certificate, but which could be really fabricated in Pakistan. So there is it's very easy for somebody to go to a court or somebody to find a cleric to perform the nikah or the Islamic ceremony for marriage.
Right. And what did the locals tell you, Taha? Do these things happen often in this area?
Well, in this particular area, only last year there was an attack on one of the local legislators who was selected from this area on a minority seat. He was a Sikh also, and he was killed by the Pakistani Taliban. From what we know, the Pakistani Taliban claimed responsibility. He was shot down while he was visiting his village. This is basically this area, Bunair, borders with Swat, and as we know, that's what happened in Swat before in 2009. The Taliban sort of kingdom that was formed there, and then later on when they escaped to these areas. So Bunair in the last few years has seen a lot of sort of a movement towards radicalization. Before that, these people, the Sikh population here or other religious minorities, they used to live peacefully. They had good relations with the Muslim, but increasingly things are becoming difficult for these religious minorities there.
Right. Taha, stay with us. We're looking at the situation of Hindus in Pakistan. There are 2.5 million Hindus who live in Pakistan right now. And between 2012 and 2015, 67 Hindu girls, according to reports, were kidnapped. At least 1,000 girls are forcibly converted to Islam every year in Pakistan, according to reports and also what human rights organizations are saying there. The status of minorities and how the law treats them. In March 2017, this year itself, the court, a local court in fact, offered immunity to 60 Christians in a mob killing case on the condition that they converted to Islam. In November last year, the Sindh Assembly, we know, passed a law against forced religious conversion. And the Hindu marriage bill that was passed only last month, the National Assembly passed it to register Hindu marriages. It protects the legitimacy of children. So this is how the law stands vis-a-vis the situation of minorities in Pakistan. Taha, is the local media even talking about this case?
Well, there have been just two reports that I have come across. The mainstream broadcast media hasn't really talked about this particular case, but these two reports are from a local Urdu press. And basically, they have angled it very differently from what I found out when I investigated it. They have approached this news in a way that the girl has converted, and that's the headline. And then has said that the headline also says that she's converted and married a Muslim, and she did this out of choice. And it's sort of like the version of the accused that has been sort of given more highlight in these two newspapers, local mainstream newspapers. And given the history of Pakistani media, the way it covers these issues when it comes to religion, it's not a surprise that they're giving it that sort of angling.
Right. And you know, the story came to light first for WION when this girl's family member raised this issue with us. And they are obviously very worried. The family in India, as you saw, the family in Pakistan also waiting for her to return and hoping for her safety. Is there something that the government of India can do at this point, Taha?
Well, as far as the international pressure is concerned, with regards to Indian pressure or international pressure, this particular family has family in India, so that's why we did see him reaching out to the Ministry of External Affairs. But here, basically, in a way, one of the quotes that the uncle gave in the interview was that we do not want this to become an India-Pakistan issue, but they're making it. So there is this sort of assumption every time there is this religious minority involved in any case, for example, the Sikhs or the Hindus, then the label comes as to that they're from India, they're from the enemy country, they're from the outsider. So in a way, Indian influence in these sort of cases is very minimum, and already there's sort of a bad reputation towards it, and the way the minorities are dealt with is one of the discriminations they face is to be called Indian whenever they complain about something.
Right. Taha, we leave it at that. Thanks very much for joining us with all those updates. We were hoping to be joined by Peter Jacob from the Center for Social Justice Pakistan. We do hope that organizations like his can do something to help girls like Priya, Rani. Thanks very much for that update. And we'll track this case very closely for you here on WION.